Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be doing some math. We're going to be working on lesson 3 of module 4. I'm going to start off with a little review of our angles. So let's see how you guys do. The first thing I want you guys to look at is this one. Can anybody remember what this is? What kind of angle this is? Notice it's little. Any ideas? I hope you're thinking acute. Okay, so this is an acute angle. It's less than 90 degrees. The next angle we're going to talk about is the opposite of that one, which would be this one. Does anybody remember what this one's called? I've been checking some of your math and I've noticed that a lot of you are getting these right. This is an obtuse angle, meaning it's more than 90 degrees. So obtuse angle. The next one we're going to review is this one here. So you should be thinking, looks like two things that I know. First thing you might be thinking is it looks like a straight line, which is true. You can see the arrows on each side. We could also think of this as a straight angle, okay? Meaning that if you put 90 degrees together with 90 degrees, then you're going to have a straight line, which is 180 degrees. 90 plus 90 equals 180. And the last one we're going to discuss, which is important for today's topic, is this one here. Hopefully all of you are jumping out of your seats right now thinking, I know the answer. Shout it out. Hopefully you're saying it's a right angle, okay? Or sometimes we call it a 90-degree angle. You can tell right away, I have that little box there that represents that it's a right angle. I always like to tell you, think about the side of your desk. Kind of has a right angle. It's very straight up and down here. So this right angle is going to come in handy for you to know our lesson for our lesson 3 today. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what our objective is for today. This is what my goal is for you. I want students to identify, define, and draw perpendicular lines. And you're probably thinking, what are perpendicular lines? And that's what we're going to be focused on today. So the first thing I want to do is tell you the definition of a perpendicular line, and that is that perpendicular lines are lines that intersect, and they form right angles. Okay, you guys can see that there. I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now. So there are lines that intersect. So if I make a line, let's call this line, or this could be line AB. Okay, see line AB? And then if I want to intersect it in the middle, I'm going to go ahead and draw that right now. We're going to name this line CD. Okay? Okay. Do you see how that works there? So we have line CD and AB. Okay, you guys remember how to write lines? We have A, B, and we have CD. That's kind of how we would write it there. But they're intersecting in the middle. They have a middle point. We also learned what points are. They have one middle adjoining point here. Okay, so that's important for you to know. So how many right angles do you see in this picture? Now there's a little bit of glare. So hopefully you see the first one. Okay, I'm going to put that little mark there. Okay, do you guys see that first right angle? And then we have one on the other side. That's also a right angle. So look at this here. Okay, that point in the middle, I'm going to call it F. Okay, so we can actually say this CFA. Okay, that's a right angle there. And then we can actually go down. We can say AFD. That's also another right angle. And if you look at this diagram, we have BFD, which is also a right angle. So how many right angles do we have all together? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 right angles in these perpendicular lines. Okay? So we know that lines that intersect, that form these right angles, are called perpendicular, which is a big word. I know it's a big word. So, moving on. I want you to look at this picture that I drew. So which one would you say has perpendicular lines? Let's take a look at the first one here. Okay, it looks similar to what I just drew. It has that little box there, doesn't it? So that probably means that this is a right angle, right? So these are 4 right angles. It's going through, these segments are going through at right angles. So this would definitely have perpendicular lines. Let's take a look at our next one. It looks like the letter X, or X marks the spot. So what do you guys think? Does this one form right angles? Not quite. Okay, see how these angles look? These angles do not look the same. Okay, so they have some acute angles in there, and then they have some obtuse angles in there. So these are intersecting lines, but they're not perpendicular lines. Okay, so I'm going to show you again. Even if we have it like this, like that. Okay, both of these are just intersecting lines, but they're not perpendicular lines like this. So there's a big difference, and I think you can see that from there. A lot of times when we work with perpendicular lines, we can look at our capital letters to really see which ones have perpendicular lines in them. So I want you guys to take a look at the first letter there. Okay, we see a capital T, we see a lowercase l, and then we see an uppercase L, and we see a capital V. These are some examples. Can somebody tell me if these are all perpendicular lines? Do you think all 3 of them are? What do you think? Do you see any right angles? I hope you're looking very closely and thinking, I see some. Let's take a look at T first. Okay, when we do the letter T, I'm going to draw it over here. I can see 2 right angles. I know they're upside down. That's okay. But I see one on the left and one on the right. These are both right angles. So yes, the capital T has perpendicular lines. Let's take a look at our L. Okay, everybody see L? What do we think? Does that have perpendicular lines? Well, if you're saying yes, absolutely. There's just one right angle, but that's fine. That's all it takes. Now I want you to look at the V. What do you think about this V? Does this V have any kind of right angles in it? If you said no, then you're correct. Okay, that just looks like an acute angle, just not even close to being a right angle. So V does not work. Okay, we can look at H. That's another good one to look at. What do you guys think about capital H? Is that a perpendicular line? Today when you do your exit ticket, I will be seeing who listened to the video, because some of these questions that I'm asking you right now that I'm answering are going to be on your video, or are going to be on your exit ticket. So H, definitely. You can see a lot of right angles. I'm going to label them for you right now. Okay, look at all those right angles. Okay, you have a right angle that goes from here down. You have a right angle that goes from the bottom over, and then top over, and bottom over. So it's loaded with perpendicular lines. What about F? Capital F. So if you said yes, that's true. It definitely has some perpendicular lines. They could be small, they could be big, but they have to have right angles. And you can look here at my drawing. Okay, I have all those right angles in there. Okay, so those are just some examples of letters that work with. We could also use everyday objects to think about perpendicular lines. which we will be doing in our exit ticket. So let's take a look. And this is the last part of our lesson. I'm being an artist again. So number 1, what do you guys think? Does it have perpendicular lines, and where? So do you think this first part is a perpendicular line? If you said no, that's true, because that looks like an acute angle. But then if you look on the other side of it, that's definitely a right angle right there. So I'm going to label it. Should have a different color. Let's take a look at this next one. Look at this kite. Do we think the kite has any perpendicular lines? I definitely think it does. I can see right in the middle where that X is, those are all right angles right there. I'm going to label that for you, show you. See where I just put that? All in that middle part, those are the perpendicular lines. Let's look at my cool football that I made over here. Any perpendicular lines? If you look really closely, right in the middle, those little lines, I'm going to draw it a little bigger for you. That definitely represents some perpendicular lines. Okay, if you look really closely, they're all right angles. And then the last one is a clock. Does the clock have any? If you go from 12 to 3 or 3 to 12, yep, definitely has some right angles. So that middle part, not the circle, but actually the middle part would be your perpendicular lines there. Okay, so those are some good examples of perpendicular lines. If we had just a circle, would we think that that's perpendicular lines? Let's give you some more examples. Let's see. Okay. What about these curved lines? Would that be perpendicular lines? It's not forming a 90-degree angle. Even if it clashes with another one, okay, that is not a perpendicular, those aren't perpendicular lines. And then if you take a look at our circle here, it's just round. It's not intersecting with anything. So definitely not perpendicular lines. So I want you to go back and think about the definition of what perpendicular lines are. That's what we're going to be working on for the next 2 days. And I want you to be able to draw some examples of what they are by Wednesday. So let's remember that perpendicular lines are lines that intersect, and they have to form some kind of right angle. Okay? So keep that in mind when you do your work today. I want you to watch the video and then go ahead and do your exit ticket when you're finished. All right? We'll talk to you soon. Bye.